Hi everyone, Dennis here. Thank you for joining me for this video. We're making a very real video today about what life is like with health anxiety. This video is for people out there that are currently suffering from health anxiety, symptoms of anxiety, they have the confusion, but it's also for people that don't really get what a friend might be going through, what a family member might be going through, what a coworker, an acquaintance might be going through. And there's just so much pain in the world as far as health anxiety goes. People are more and more worried about these certain symptoms that pop up and what they might be all about, and constantly looking for reassurance from other people. And I made a video on my YouTube channel here under 6 steps on how to overcome generalized anxiety disorder. I got a lot of emails. People telling me, Dennis, that was a great video. Thank you so much for sharing some of your story, but could you get a little bit more specific as far as what life really was like, step by step, minute by minute? What is it like? What is that terrifying feeling like living day by day and masking your feelings and masking your emotions? What is it like? So that's what this video is about. We're gonna get very real. We're gonna really go in depth as far as some of the situations we're faced with, and we're gonna break it down into 3 sections of the day. Okay, so for someone suffering from health anxiety, certain things happen throughout the day and that don't happen in other parts of the day. And I'm gonna share my own personal perspective, my own personal experiences on this, and yours might change a little bit. It might be very relatable, it might be the same, but we'll take it from there. And we're gonna start with the morning, what it's like. We're gonna go into the afternoon, what it's like to have health anxiety, what happens in the afternoon that's different than the morning, and then what is it like in the evening. So let's start with the morning, and this is my own 6-year journey, going through hell, basically. And I'm waking up in the morning, okay? And I've had a really good 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep. The recommended what I'm supposed to get. I should be refreshed. I should feel like it's a new day. It's a new chance for me to transform myself. It's a new chance for me to have a new outlook on what life is like. Okay, so I'm waking up in the morning. Right away, I'm struck with what ifs. Okay, and I'm sure that you can relate. What ifs? What if this happens later on today? What if in the morning I feel super sick and my symptoms are taking over so much that I can't go to work today? If I can't go to work, will I get fired? What will my boss think? If I can't face my fiance or wife in this moment, what will she think? Will she leave me? What if I have a child? For me, it was a newborn child. What if I can't be the father today that I really want to be? I want to be that person, but what if I can't? What if? And we start to create scenarios. I start to create scenarios. So after I woke up, I go through the what ifs, I go through the fears, and I create these scenarios. Oh, I'm gonna be face to face with my boss today. What would I do after that? Personally for me, I was teaching tennis. I'm going to be surrounded by 6, 7, 8 kids for hours. What if my symptoms pop up? What if I get really dizzy? What's going to happen? So these scenarios started to take over my mind in the morning. This is the first section of the day, the morning. And I'm just going through every single scenario in my head. What's going to happen and how I'm going to handle it. The other thing I started to do during my health anxiety days was think about last night. Or the past a little bit. What did I drink? Did I have a sip of alcohol there? Oh, that sip of alcohol triggered this panic attack last time in the morning or in the afternoon. What if that happens again? Did I have something with caffeine in it? It didn't hit me last night, but what if it hits me in the morning? So I started to create these scenarios. I go through my head of the what ifs. I started thinking about the past, the recent past, and I started to think in the morning now, why me? Okay, so that whole thing there, that's just a span of like 30 minutes, all those things happened so quickly in the mornings for me in that section of the day, and it started to trigger a snowball effect that led to why me? Why me? Why not that person over there? You know, I'm looking out the window, I see people that are happy, I see people that are going through life calmly, I see people that are very relaxed and enjoying their days, I see people that are progressing. I'm not even staying in the same area. I'm getting worse, which is making me feel horrible, you know? If things were just okay and comfortable and getting along, that was the standard for me, you know? I wanted to just be happy, right? Which is like comfortable happy. I wanted to be able to get through a day without feeling some of those symptoms. Forget about getting better at my career. Forget about, you know, all the other things, my relationships getting better. I just wanted to basically feel like I just, you know, was got through the day okay, you know? My standards were so low, right? And if you deal with health anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And it was just the worst way to live. It was like living like in a world of just being handcuffed, you know, and my feet cuffed. And every day I would put up a new mask, you know. One mask was getting to work. Oh, good morning, how are you? Good, you know, everything's great and fine and dandy. Everybody's all happy and ready to go, you know, and there I was, you know, thinking about my symptoms, thinking about what if I panic, thinking about what are they going to think about me, thinking about I just want to get out of here. I hope this day goes really quickly so I can just flee, you know. And what people's thoughts were far beyond what I was thinking in my head. And that just went on for 6 years, you know, and you can really feel that the mornings could be, if I could just change my mornings, you know, these things I just talked about, if I could just get into a rhythm as far as finding different ways to link up fearful situations I used to have and link up those situations and try to take away some of the fear in those situations, maybe, just maybe, I'd be able to overcome my fear. I'd be able to turn a monster, you know, into a fly, you know, because I've said this before in the Anxiety Guy podcast many times, and I'll say it again, is that we create something from something so small and we start to create it to be so big, you know, and people's suggestions, you know, doctor's notes, reassurance on Google, whatever it may be, doesn't help us. It doesn't, right? It's just keeping us in that same comfortable cycle over and over again. You know what I'm talking about. And things are just not getting better. And it took me 6 years to finally recognize that and start changing some of the patterns and the habits that were going on in the morning. Was it easy? No. But any kind of transformation is not easy. Every kind of transformation gets worse before it starts to get better. Okay, there's a quote. And that's something that you need to keep in mind. And the best way to do that stuff, and what I did in the mornings to try to start to slowly change some of those patterns and start to get a new belief system that wasn't triggered by the media or the drama that we're always looking for or the fear we're always faced with, was I started putting quotes up. I started putting doctor's notes up to remind me of everything being okay. I started to put letters of my family members up, you know, and started to, you know, to tell me, not the family members that went, you know, Dennis, just relax, learn to relax, everything will be okay. Those are bull, you know, those don't work, okay? That sort of stuff, the soft stuff doesn't work. I needed someone to look me in the face and go, Dennis, you're a hypochondriac. You have health anxiety, okay? And health anxiety, it doesn't matter how long you suffered from health anxiety or hypochondria, transformation can happen in a heartbeat. Transformation can happen now, right now. And it wasn't until I made that decision to start changing some things and looking at the patterns that were causing my health anxiety that things started to change. Now, we talked about the morning a little bit. Okay, let's get into the afternoon. So there I was, heading to work like we all do, and of course we're going to be faced with people, right? And in the afternoon, it was like the spotlight time. That was the time for me to kind of, like everything was shining on me. It was time for action. It was time for me to prove myself. And that just brought on more pressure, and with more pressure comes more tension. Okay? So what do you think happens to the symptoms when you start to feel more pressure and more tension? Yeah, they elevate. Okay? So those symptoms started to get worse and worse. So I'm face to face with my boss and talking to them, and I'm 50% with him, and I'm 50% with myself and my inner self, you know, checking up, checking into my symptoms, checking in to see, you know, what that tingly feeling is, checking in to see how bad my dizziness is. I'm face to face right now with him. And when he's gone, I can fully focus back on myself. So there I was, done with that conversation, going back to what I needed to do, and there was a slight relief there. But again, my focus was never on my outside world. It was always on my inner world, you know. And at some point you kind of go, well, if my focus was, during that face-to-face conversation, if my focus was 50% on him and only 50% on me, that should mean that if I can find a way to change some habits, if I could find a way to become more conscious of my outer world, maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to take the focus off my inner world, right? So that's another really important thing, and I talk about that as far as me starting photography. I started to become a bit of a photographer and do more artsy stuff and some paintings and stuff like that, and I started to get away from myself a little bit and started to get those thoughts away. But continuing in the afternoon, you know, it was all about masking the symptoms that I was feeling. It was finding ways, finding loopholes, and ways to run from my symptoms. Not run, but to mask them. Okay, so, you know, one person I masked it in another way, another person I masked it in another way, you know, somebody who was really intense, where I was, you know, living in a state of fear. I tried to get away from that person as quick as I can, because you and I know, dealing with health anxiety, when we become overly stimulated, that's when things go to the crapper, right? And that could mean a person that's really energetic. Hey Dennis, how's everything going? That's fantastic. Oh, I'm so glad you're doing that and this and that. And I was like, oh my God, like please, you know. And those were the worst, you know. At least if someone was calm talking to me, I could be like, all right, this is okay, I can sort of deal with this. But those intense people, or, you know, bright lights, or, you know, a horn going off somebody's car, or car alarms, for everybody, for the average person that goes through their day at a 2-3 anxiety level, those things don't bug them. But if you're living in an 8, 9, 10 scale out of 10 anxiety level, even a car alarm can just set off tons of panic. And with panic comes that adrenaline. With adrenaline comes that fear. And with that fear comes elevated symptoms. And now you know that in the afternoon, why so many times I had to call 911 and head to the emergency. And that's like, I had it on 911, I had it on speed dial. That's how bad things got. And when I was in the emergency, I got to know some of the staff better than some of the people that I was, you know, living with in my own life. It was like, hey Jim, how you doing? Oh yeah, just another day, you know, anxiety, I think, right? But I didn't really know. I never trusted that it was based around anxiety. So that all led to needing to run. In the afternoon, it was time for me to run. You know, I was like, oh, 2 more hours of work. Oh, you know, I'm feeling panicky. Can I get out for just 10, 15 minutes? You know, I just want to go home and call a sick day, whatever it is. I needed to run because all that masking just made things so much worse. And I'm sure you can relate out there. And moving into the evening, and here we are, we've beaten ourselves up mentally, spiritually, physically. At this point, I'm exhausted, you know. My head is just pounding. I have the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I'm moving into the evening. I'm done work, family time, whatever the cycle might be, whatever the structure might be in your life, but in my life, that's how it went. Getting home and going, I've tried to be perfect in the morning. I've tried to be perfect in my career and my job. I've tried to please people. And now I have to go home and become a perfect father and a perfect fiance and a perfect husband and a perfect friend for people I didn't talk to. And I have to perfectly make my dinner, and then I have to get myself in bed at a certain time so I can do it all again tomorrow, and everything was just like so difficult. Trying to be so perfect all the time really can add to your anxiety. And the one tip that I can give you guys is that don't try to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Just try to be better than you were yesterday, and that's good enough. Try to keep transforming yourself. Try to keep staying on track, and try to understand that perfection is something that nobody can achieve. Let yourself make mistakes, because that's how we learn. We learn through our mistakes. And the evening came, and in the evening, it was victim talk. It was time for victim talk, Robin, my fiance, would be there, and honey, I had a tough day at work. This is a scenario here. When I got up in the morning, this is what happened, and I was trying to look for a way out, and these are the things that cycled over and over again. I went to the emergency room and all this, and just, you can see how instead of the momentum going this way, how you just kept on pushing yourself down and down and down. And right then and there, my subconscious started to go, oh, so he's a victim. Oh, so he's got tons of anxiety. Oh, so he thinks he's got a tumor in his head. Oh, he thinks he has cancer, blah, blah, blah. And you can see how some of that stuff can actually manifest in someone's life. And so the victim talk started full force. Then the depression kicked in. After the victim talk, I was depressed. So this is around 6, 7 p.m. I was depressed. I was like, what is this life? This life is so pointless, And you can see how people can have these suicidal thoughts when they constantly go through days like this over and over again. Thankfully, I didn't, so that's good. But you really start to feel down and depressed and blue and go, you know what? Is this all there is? Is this going to be my life for the next 50 years, 60 years? So depression always kicked in the evening because of all the things that happen day after day, living in fear constantly and living as if you can't. I shouldn't eat that. I shouldn't drink that. I shouldn't talk to that person. I shouldn't hear that. I shouldn't watch this. I shouldn't read that. And next thing you know, our life is like this constant cycle of like, don't do anything. So walls are up, tons of walls, and just going, like, wow, like what kind of person have I turned into, like who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. That kid that had all those dreams back in the day, like that, I'm so far from that person. And that person, that carefree person I was coming out of high school, ready for the adult world, ready to make my mark and do that passionate thing I wanted to do, gone. That person's gone, and I was like, man, if that doesn't cause depression, I don't know what does. And now in the evening, there were moments of relief. There was moments of relief where the exhaustion from the day, actually got me to get my white flag out and surrender to some of those thoughts. So the thoughts came up and go, what if, hey, what if, or hey, you have anxiety or a panic attack's coming. And in that moment, I would be so tired, physically exhausted, that I couldn't deal with it. So I said, you know what, do what you want to do. I've fought all day, and those were the moments, those little tiny holes in the day where it goes, whoa, there was some relief there. Why was that happening? Whereas the rest of the 12 hours in the day, I was feeling this, and how was I able to do that, right? So that kind of thinking, that kind of like, I'm exhausted, hold the white flag up and go, I can't deal with this anymore, I don't have time for it. That moment of relief was something that I pinpointed, and I said, you know what? If I can do that there, maybe I can do that throughout my whole day. What is it that I did there that I'm trying to put into my entire day? What kind of patterns can I create around that moment of relief? But that relief didn't last long, as you know, and until I things started to snowball and get better for myself, and I was able to overcome it. But after that, self-doubt. Like we just talked about, I started to doubt myself. I started to doubt my life, my ability to be a father, my ability to be a husband, my ability to reach my goals and dreams in life. Self-doubt. And after self-doubt in the evening led me to the computer. And on the computer, if you go on some of the websites, that I'm a part of, and if you looked at my email inbox, you'd be like, my God, Dennis, like, how do you do this? And I've built up so many great relationships with people around the world through my Facebook page, and especially the Anxiety Guy podcast. I'm so happy that that's helping so many people out there. But in the evening during my health anxiety days, to the computer and onto the forums, I have this symptom. Is it related to something? I'm taking this medication. Is it good? Is it going to work for me? Could this supplement change my entire life and overcome anxiety? And all that is just crap. It just keeps you in the loop. The people that have overcome health anxiety are the ones that stay away from the forums, stay away from the chats, and stop trying to get that reassurance from people that are suffering just like you are. You're talking to someone, you're asking for advice from someone that's going through what you're going through. That doesn't work. What does work is that you follow the steps that others have done to overcome their health anxiety. That's what works. Reading blogs, following the podcast, being a part of those people, putting yourself in a different environment. Not going on the chats, the forums, the Dr. Google to search your symptoms. Those things keep you in the loop. They keep you in the anxious cycle. They keep you in that adrenaline, fear loop cycle, okay, constantly. And that is my clearest message that I can provide to you guys as far as what life is like living with health anxiety, what the morning is like, what the afternoon was like, and what the evening was like for me. It might be different for you, but I want to hear your story. So comment below. Tell me what kind of stories you can relate to from this video. What kind of things popped up when I said them that are happening to you. And I'm going to do my best to respond to those comments, and let's see if we can build a community together. A community of people through the Anxiety Guy movement that are going to set a higher standard for their lives. They're not going to live in fear, for the rest of their lives. Starting today, we want to make changes, right? And there are many ways to get those changes done. One of them is the coaching one-on-one with me. If you guys are ready, I'm ready to take you on and show you a personalized action plan to stop your health anxiety starting today. AnxietyExit.com is where you can find all that information under the coaching page. As well, there's a great program there. But today is the day you recognize what's going on and start making changes, guys. If I can do it, you can do it. I've said it before. My brain is like your brain. I have 2 arms, I have 2 legs. If I can do it, you can do it. I believe in you. I believed in myself and I was able to do it. But I had to change some of the patterns, the anxious habits, the patterns that were kind of fueling my anxiety. And that's something that you have to do. I hope this video makes a big difference in your life, guys. Make sure to share it with other people suffering from health anxiety. I'll see you guys really soon. Take care and have a wonderful day.